I think we can all agree Star Wars has always been in need of an open world game. It's something we've been waiting for years, but has never come to fruition. Open world game mechanics would be the perfect fit for Star Wars, because that's basically what we watch in the films. Characters traveling between different worlds and locations and exploring the galaxy. That's the Star Wars experience. But no game has fully lived up to that. And there's a reason now would be the perfect time for an open world Star Wars game. I want to draw your attention to this. What you're looking at here is a chart showing GTA 5 and GTA Online's revenue from the 1st of January 2014 until now. The GTA franchise just had a record quarter in earnings since launch. This is what the launch quarter looked like, which is obviously ridiculous, selling crazy amount of copies. GTA 5 is the highest grossing entertainment product of all time. It's made more money than any film or TV show or game. It's the biggest. But look at this graph. GTA 5 is turning 7 this year. For a 7-year-old game to be earning more now than just a few months after it was released is incredible, almost unheard of. But how does this relate to Star Wars? We're getting back to it. Hey everyone, it's Andrew. Today, I wanted to discuss why the desire for an open world Star Wars game is stronger now than ever before, and why I think we need to see one made in the next 5 to 10 years. And a bit later, I'm going to ask you guys for your ideas about an open world Star Wars game, what you'd want to see. I'm planning on making a video using those in the next few weeks, so stick around for that. But I'm sure lots of you will agree, being able to explore the Star Wars universe in an open world is something we've been dreaming about for years. And that's the experience we'll be getting a bit later this year with LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. This will be the first open world Star Wars game in this style, kind of. I know some of you will say, but wait, we already have the Old Republic, and we had Star Wars Galaxies, but the Old Republic isn't open world, and is much more structured. One word I often see used to describe it is instanced, meaning you can only go certain places at certain times. It's an on-rails, story-driven role-playing game, much closer to the Knights of the Old Republic single-player style of game, in which the class you choose determines the storyline you're given. Some of the only actual choices you get in the Old Republic are binary yes-no decisions that ultimately only affect your character, not the world or anyone else in your group or party. But to put that more simply, it's not a sandbox, which is what truly defines an open world game. I'd describe an open world game as one in which players can move freely without fixed objectives. It's all about player choice and choosing your objectives rather than following a linear path. GTA being the prime example of this. You can go anywhere in the open world and do anything you want in GTA Online at any time. That's the experience the game gives you. Now, Star Wars Galaxies, which was a Star Wars game from the mid-2000s, official support for the game doesn't exist anymore. This could be called an open world MMO RPG. Galaxies had a persistent world with a day-night cycle, weather patterns, seasons, in-world elements such as Tusken Raider fortresses, insect-infested mines, and randomly generated Imperial and Rebel bases, along with player-created cities that could be shaped in ways that have never been tried before in Star Wars games. There was a lot going on in Star Wars Galaxies, and in some ways, before it was updated and patched, this was the ultimate Star Wars role-playing open-world fantasy experience. It was brave and audacious and did something we'd never seen before. It had different game modes, there was space combat, 9 different professions you could follow in the game depending on what or who you wanted to play as, including Jedi, bounty hunter, smuggler, commando, spy, officer, entertainer, and trader. But not everyone could play as a Jedi. There was like a 1 in a million chance of being selected as a Jedi, and they had special perks. But unfortunately, an update to Galaxies, which completely simplified progression, basically rendering certain professions nerfed or useless, was game-breaking for lots of players. And although this NGE, or New Game Enhancements patch, made things much easier for beginners and entry-level players, it made the hard work of the game's long-term player base redundant, so lots of players left, and the game's player base dwindled. This game has a long history and a great story in itself, and that's not what today's video is about, so maybe I'll make a dedicated video about that some other day. It's a very fascinating backstory. But Star Wars Galaxies is honestly the style of game I see so many people asking for nowadays, with these types of role-playing mechanics. Choosing your own character, traveling to to different worlds, open world RPG. That would be amazing, and although Galaxy's failed, is it time for a studio to attempt building another game like this? Well, perhaps, but the style of game I want to talk about today is a bit less so RPG and more so open world story. GTA Red Dead Redemption style. This type of game is, for the most part, something that's never been properly attempted in the Star Wars universe, but that's not to say there haven't been several attempts, although all of them failed. With the popularity of games like GTA and Red Dead, or even Skyrim and Cyberpunk, why isn't there a Star Wars version of this? Well, this style of game is actually what Star Wars 1313 started off as. I know everyone's still disappointed about this game never being released. I'm not sure we're ever going to get over this one, but in the early stages of development around 2010, the idea was to make Star Wars 1313 an open world GTA style of game set on Coruscant. The game was also going to be a tie-in to the cancelled Star Wars TV series Star Wars Underworld, which was set on the lower levels of Coruscant and took place between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. But it wasn't long before the open world idea for Star Wars 1313 was scrapped in favor of a more linear Uncharted style single player experience, with developers stating that open world was just too big of a game to make. Which it is, we know how long Rockstar takes to build each of their games, it's years and years. Anyway, both 1313 and Star Wars Underworld were cancelled with the end of LucasArts and the Disney merger, and if you want to learn more about that, you can watch the video in the top right hand corner. I made that a few weeks ago. And then we also had EA's cancelled open world game with the working title Project Orca. This was cancelled in 2019 and used some assets from the previously cancelled Project Ragtag, a single player action adventure style game developed by EA's Visceral Games, the studio which was also shut down. We don't really know too much about these games apart from the fact they were cancelled for being too large basically, and EA wanting to release games that wouldn't take as long to develop. Disappointing. So will LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga be our first foray into experiencing what a true open world game set in the Star Wars universe looks like? In the new LEGO Star Wars, you're going to be able to jump in a starfighter and reportedly travel freely between planets, but how much of each planet, and how big will the planets be? That's yet to be revealed. The first LEGO game to feature an open world was LEGO Lord of the Rings from 2012, which I'm considering making a video about soon as well. Let me know if you'd want to see that. But this game allowed you to unlock different sections of the map as you progress through the story, and once completing the game, you'd be free to explore anywhere you wanted. Now, just going back to talk about the popularity of GTA 5 and the statistics I showed you at the start of this video, it's interesting to see its growth over the past several years with a peak in the last 3 months, but I think we also need to attribute some of this game's recent popularity to what's happening in the world at the moment and the amount of time people are spending at home. It's highly likely that more people are playing just because they have more time to play, and it's not just GTA that's seeing this increase. I think the entire gaming world has had a boost in players and sales over the past few months due to the state of the outside world. With that said, an open world Star Wars game would be a dream come true, even if it's only set on one planet and in one world, like Star Wars 1313 was going to be. Just the idea of combining open world and Star Wars, I think is exciting. And I think there's endless possibilities to produce a game like this with a single player narrative where you can explore an open world freely, moving between different sections of a map, perhaps upgrading a different speeder, and just feeling like you're in a living, breathing world. I feel like it could even be somewhat of a cross between a Jedi Fallen Order and a GTA. Jedi Fallen Order obviously gives us space travel, and once you complete the game, you can travel to any of the game's main 5 planets, but I wouldn't really call it open world. It's more in the Metroidvania genre, where you're moving through these levels and completing the objectives, and then it kind of just becomes a space you can explore. But it's not really a virtual world in where you have choice over your actions and what you're doing in the game. This is where an open world game would really shine. I think the ability to participate in side missions would also be a great addition to an open world game. Feeling like there are so many more characters in this world and like you can engage with them, go to nightclubs, bars and cantinas, upgrade your speeder. There's so much here, and I think that's probably the reason why we still haven't got an open world Star Wars game. It's a huge universe to make a game like this in, and there's almost too much going on in the Star Wars galaxy to make just one centralized game on a single planet in the Star Wars universe. Can you imagine the amount of different alien species, the different factions and weapons and speeders, and can you travel to different planets? The amount of lore that would have to be included in the game. And that's another thing. Disney and Lucasfilm in recent times have been very strict on what is canon, and everything they've basically produced in the past few years has been canon. So that'd be something else they'd have to take into account when making this game. Is that too difficult a project to tackle just because of continuity and keeping everything within the growing Star Wars lore? How could they find a balance here? Is it just simply too hard to build a game like this? And is that why it hasn't been done? It's a tough project to start, and that's kind of where I want to bring you guys in. I'm thinking of making a video going over some of your best ideas for Star Wars open world games and how they'd play. So if you could leave your ideas down below in the comments, I'm going to try and make a video about that in the next few weeks. And follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and join my Discord for more Star Wars gaming, news, and everything else. And thanks for watching this. My name's Andrew. I'll catch you soon.
Stay bombastic.